Continue the text. Voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything. Donald Trump. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey Epstein. Nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Yes, we do. Come to think of it. Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Jeffrey. Thank you, Donald. To secrets. They are the only currency that appreciates with time. The only real estate that is truly private. Donald. The very best. They think everything is what they can see. A beautiful building, a wonderful plane. They don't get it. They see the lobby, they never see the penthouse. Jeffrey, and from the penthouse, everyone else looks so small. Predictable. They follow rules they didn't write. Voiceover faintly, as if from a distant television. A sense of community, of purpose. Helping others. Donald. Scoffs listen to that. Helping others. That's for people who lose. It's a terrible deal. The worst deal maybe ever. Jeffrey. Community is for those who cannot stand alone. We, Donald, are not a community. We are a conspiracy of two. Donald. A conspiracy. I like that. A beautiful word. To us, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, to us. They clink glasses. The sound is sharp, like breaking glass. Donald chuckles, a low, dry sound. He sets his glass down with a decisive click. That's the thing, Jeffrey. They're afraid of what's broken. We're interested in who has the power to break it, and who has the power to make it look like nothing ever happened. Jeffrey, to sweep up the shards and sell them as diamonds. An alchemical process. They study physics, we study will. Donald, and my will is the best will. And everyone says so. You, with your theories, your numbers. Very impressive. I just know things. It's a gut feeling. A tremendous gut. Jeffrey, a gut feeling is merely a billion years of evolutionary data condensed into a single impulse. Donald. You call it a gut, I call it a database. We access the same information. We simply use a different interface. Donald nods slowly, staring into his drink database. I like that. A top secret database for members only. Jeffrey, exactly. And the password is knowing there isn't one. The door was never locked to begin with. Donald, they're just too afraid to turn the handle. Afraid of what they'll see. Pathetic. Jeffrey, it protects them from the truth. Donald, that freedom is not a right. It's a privilege you take from someone else. A zero-sum game. Voice over from the television, a new program has started. And tonight we celebrate heroes, the everyday people who give back, who lift up their communities. Donald waves a dismissive hand toward the sound without look at them, celebrating their own cages. They make beautiful cages, though. You have to give them that. Jeffrey, and they'll die defending them. The irony is, they're the ones guarding us. Their morality is our wall. Their God, our gatekeeper. Donald. A pal is a wonderful thing, Jeffrey. A really wonderful thing. Happy birthday. Donald. All right, Jeffrey. Show me the portfolio. The real portfolio. Jeffrey. A small, satisfied smile. He picks up a sleek black tablet from the table beside him and taps the screen. It illuminates his face from below. It's not about stocks, Donald. It's about futures. He turns the tablet to face Donald. It's not a list of numbers or charts. It's a grid of faces. Young faces. Women, mostly. Each with a name. an edge, and a short, cryptic tag. Midwest Scholarship, Spearing Actress La, Diplomat's Daughter DC, Troubled Heiress. Donald leans in, his eyes scanning them like a property developer looking at new lots. A good crop this year. A very good crop. You see the ambition. You can smell it. That's the key ingredient. Desperate, but smart. They have to be smart enough to know what they're getting into, but not smart enough to think they can get out. Jeffrey, that's the art of the prospectus, Donald. We don't offer money or fame. We offer proximity, the illusion of access. A ticket to this very room. We show them the penthouse, and they're so dazzled they don't notice the price is the deed to themselves. Donald, and the leverage? You have the files? Well, you know, the insurance policies. Jeffrey swipes to another screen, this one a complex web of lines connecting the faces to other, more famous ones. Politicians, CEOs, foreign dignitaries. Think of it less as insurance and more as a social ledger, a map of appetites. Every yes is a signature, every visit a transaction, every silence a consent. We aren't just collecting secrets, Donald. We're creating a new market. Our guests become our assets. Our assets become our gatekeepers. Donald points a finger at one of the connected names. This one. He's thinking of running. A real family values guy. Fantastic. That's just fantastic. Jeffrey, he had a particular taste for the Midwest Scholarship category. We have the flight logs, the on-island itineraries. We even have his handwritten thank you note for the wonderful hospitality. Donald beams, a wide, predatory grin. A thank you note. It's beautiful. That's better than a contract. You can't put a price on that kind of gratitude. So, who gets the next invitation? For the fundraiser next month, we need someone new. Someone fresh to sit at the table with the senator from Michigan. He gets nervous without a distraction. Jeffrey taps on the aspiring actress La profile. A more detailed file opens showing social media posts, family connections, stated dreams. I was thinking of her. She believes she's being scouted for a role in a film. Donald, a role. Perfect. Tell her it's the role of a lifetime. Jeffrey, oh, it is. The performance will be incredibly convincing because she won't even know she's acting. They look at each other, the tablet glowing between them, a constellation of captured stars. Their secret activity isn't just one thing. It's the system they've built. A self-perpetuating machine that trades in human ambition, fueled by desire and leveraged by shame. It's a farm, a bank, and a private kingdom all at once, hidden in plain sight. Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Jeffrey, the most wonderful thing. Now, let's make a call. Meanwhile, in an undisclosed geothermal facility deep beneath the southern Alps of New Zealand, the air did not clink with glasses, but hummed with the sound of servos and cryogenic pumps. There was no gaudy gold, only the cool, dark sheen of unadorned basalt and glowing fiber optics tracing paths along the floor like nervous systems. Peter Thiel stood before a vast, holographic display, not of faces, but of branching, crystalline structures representing genetic lineages. He was dressed in a simple high-collared gray tunic, looking less like a billionaire and more like a monk from a future he was actively engineering. An analyst, a young woman with a shaved head and a Neuralink port just behind her ear, stood silently a few paces behind him. Analyst, the legacy nodes are agitated tonight. The Trump-Epstein-Maxwell constellation is broadcasting high-volume, low-data chatter. It pollutes the signal. Peter Thiel, without turning, let them chatter. They are chewing on the gristle of the present. Their currency is shame, a perishable commodity. It degrades with every news cycle. They play checkers on a board they think is a map of the world. Analysts, and then we? Theo, we are geologists. We don't watch the players, we watch the tectonic plates of history. We are not interested in their secrets. We are interested in their patterns, the predictable decay functions of their societies, their base code. He gestured, and a new hologram bloomed in the air. It was a globe, but instead of countries, it showed pulsating hotspots of data. Not social media trends, but something deeper. A global map of despair, unrealized potential, and pristine genetic markers. Theo, they traffic in proximity to power. We are harvesting something far more foundational. Hope, specifically, the hope of the young, intelligent, and isolated. The ones who believe they are too smart for the system, but are not yet smart enough to see the architecture of the cage we offer them. Analyst. Candidate 837 is stable. The Theo Fellowship narrative was ingested without complication. Biomarkers are optimal. The psychological profile remains pliable. Theo. Pliable is insufficient. We want devotion. Did he accept the terms? Analyst. He believes he's surrendering his intellectual property for the next 10 years in exchange for mentorship and funding to disrupt the university system. Theo. The ghost of a smile touches his lips. He doesn't understand. We have no interest in his intellectual property. That's just the shell. It's the kernel we require. His vitality. His telomeres. The uncorrupted blood of a brilliant boy who has not yet been poisoned by the world. His secret activity was not about influence or blackmail. It was about solving the one problem he considered non-negotiable. Death. The facility was Palantir's logical, unspoken endpoint. Its true purpose was not to find terrorists in the data, but to identify the optimal human livestock. The fellowships, the venture capital, the contrariant grants. They were all just elaborate, intellectual corrals designed to attract the healthiest specimens. He turned away from the hologram and walked toward a pristine, white clinical chamber at the far end of the hall. Theo. They seek to rule a world full of flawed, dying men. A tedious game with ever-changing players. I simply want to outlast it, and all its fleeting, grubby secrets. He entered the chamber and sighed. A single chrome and crystal centrifuge was spinning slowly, separating a fresh donation of blood into its component parts. The plasma, glowing ruby dark under the clinical light, was being siphoned into a sterile bag. Feel his voice, now slightly tinny over the comms analyst. Prepare the infusion. Analyst, at once, sir. Peter Thiel settled into a sterile recliner, looking up at the ceiling. The Trump birthday party was a distant, messy echo from a species he was trying to obsolete. A birthday, he thought, was an admission of failure. A celebration of a design flaw. He closed his eyes as the analyst began the procedure. Assistant, Mr. Thiel, sir, you have a transmission coming through from Brian Singer from his school for boys with eugenic powers. Thiel's head was still tilted back, his eyes closed. The analyst waited a full 10 seconds before speaking again, unsure if he was meditating on the blood infusion or merely ignoring her. Analyst, sir? The transmission from Director Singer. Peter Thiel. His eyes snapped open, perfectly clear. There was no grogginess. The filmmaker put it on the tactical display. Mute audio on our end. I'll speak when I'm ready. A section of the basalt wall flickered to life, the holographic image shimmering into existence. It was not a simple head and shoulders view. Brian Singer was framed theatrically, seated in a high-backed leather chair. Behind him, through a large bay window, several athletically built teenage boys in matching tracksuits could be seen practicing on a sprawling, perfectly manicured lawn. One seemed to be effortlessly bending a stream of water from a fountain into intricate knots. The entire image was lit like the final scene of a prestige drama. Singer was holding a brandy snifter. He wore a velvet smoking jacket. Brian Singer. His voice, slightly too resonant, filled the sterile chamber. Peter, my grand patron of the possible, I trust my signal finds you well beyond the shadow of the old world. Theo remained silent, his expression unreadable, his fingers steepled before him. Singer, I won't waste your time with pleasantries. You deal in data in pure potential, and I have an acquisition to report. A true first-class specimen. He swirled his brandy, leaning into his own camera. Singer, we've had telekinetics before. Garden variety, they can bend spoons, levitate books, crude applications of raw will. This one, he's different. A boy from Encino, socially awkward, high spectrum, completely isolated. A perfect vessel. He doesn't just move objects, Peter. He intuits weaknesses. Structural, emotional, digital. On the lawn behind Singer, one of the boys looked up, and a nearby security drone suddenly faltered in its flight path, wobbling before crashing into the grass. The boy smirked. Singer didn't seem to notice, or perhaps it was a choreographed part of the presentation. Singer, I showed him a photograph of a political rival, and he told me the man's secret password based on the wear pattern on his phone screen and the look of anxiety in his eye. I gave him a locked hard drive, and he didn't try to hack it. He just held it for a moment and told me the engineer who designed the encryption had a gambling problem and there would be a logic flaw hidden in the prime number sequence. And there was. He's not a power, Peter. He's a living exploit. He'll finally unmuted his microphone. His voice cut through the air, devoid of all warmth. Peter Thiel, you are describing confirmation bias and parlor tricks, Mr. Singer. Your school is an incubator for narcissism, not eugenics. You find broken boys and convince them that damage is a superpower. It is a profoundly inefficient model. Singer's practiced smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Brian Singer, the results speak for themselves. They are loyal. They are powerful. They believe in the vision. They're my X-Men, Peter. They just need a magneto to fund their cerebro. Theo, do not reference comic books in this facility. You see assets. I see liabilities tied to unstable emotional cores. You cultivate a cult of personality. I cultivate permanence. However, the exploit intuition you describe as a data point of interest. He leaned forward slightly, his eyes narrowing. Theo, I am not interested in your school, your vision, or your cinematic metaphors. I am interested in the boy. Strip him of his superhero fantasies. Put him on a plane. No luggage, no phone. Just the boy. We will analyze his source code. If his abilities are verifiable and, more importantly, replicable, your next film will be very well funded. If not, I trust you can find another chosen one from the casting couch of human misery. Is that understood? Singer stared into the camera. The brandy snifter seemed to tremble in his hand. He was being demoted from a peer to a glorified talent scout, and they both knew it. He drained his glass in one swallow. Brian Singer, for the future of the species. Of course, Peter. He's all yours. I'll have him prepped. Theo, you will do nothing. My team will handle the extraction, terminate the feed. The image of the Deccan school vanished, leaving only the cold, humming silence of the geothermal lair. Theo turned to his analyst. Theo, arrange it, and once we have him, scrub all records of Brian Singer from the boy's memory. The last thing we need is a masterpiece contaminated by its Volca frame. Assistant, sir? Kevin Spacey couldn't help but overhear the signal that was accidentally hacked into in his vicinity. He wishes to be considered as the extraction lead. The analyst's posture went rigid. Sir, unscheduled node activation. It appears, piggybacked on the Singer signal's termination handshake.
Security breach.
Peter Thiel. Define breach. Before she could answer, the basalt wall lit up again. It was a different feed, dark and intimate. Kevin Spacey sat in what looked like a study paneled with dark wood, a low fire crackling in a hearth behind him. He held a large glass of red wine, which he swirled with practiced grace. He wasn't addressing the camera. He was looking just to the side of it, as if speaking to someone in the room with him. Kevin Spacey. One must never underestimate the vanity of lesser artists. They build their firewalls with such dramatic flair. All pyrotechnics and grand facades. They never think to check the quiet, forgotten maintenance ports. So prosaic. He finally turned his gaze to the camera, a slow, deliberate motion. A predatory charm spread across his face. Spacey! Peter, forgive the intrusion, but when I hear the word extraction, my ears prick up. It's a word with such wonderful subtext, isn't it? Thiel, you have 10 seconds to justify this transmission before I permanently excise your digital footprint from every server I control. Spacey chuckled, a deep, resonant sound. Always the ultimatum. So very binary. You heard Brian. He wants to give the boy a cape and a call sign. You want to strap him to a table and read his code like a user manual. Both are terribly unsophisticated approaches. He took a slow sip of wine. Spacey, you're not acquiring a piece of hardware, Peter. You're acquiring a finely tuned instrument. At Prodigy, you send in your sterile, black-clad operatives, and you will spook the muse right out of him. The data will be corrupted by fear. You'll get noise, static. The boy will break, and so will your precious investment. Thiel, state your proposal. Spacey leans forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You don't send a soldier, you send a teacher. A mentor, a confidant, someone who understands the intoxicating loneliness of being special. Someone who can speak the language of quiet ambition. Someone who can frame the extraction not as a kidnapping, but as an enrollment. The ultimate scholarship. The role he was born to play. Thiel, you. Spacey, who better? Sinners, X-Men, or pantomime? I prefer Chekhov. You plant the gun in the first act. A casual conversation, a shared secret, a paternal hand on the shoulder. By the third act, the boy will get on that plane himself. Willingly, legally. He will believe it was his own idea. He will be a pristine, cooperative, and perfectly preserved asset. Your agents are scalpels. I am a whisper. Far more effective. For a long moment, the geothermal facility was silent except for the low hum of its machinery. Thiel's face was a mask of cold calculation. The idea was aesthetically repellent, a solution steeped in the very emotional vulgarity he sought to transcend. Yet, the logic was sound. An asset damaged by fear was a failed investment. Thiel, you would be an external variable, a contractor. Your movements will be monitored, your communication logged, your biometrics tracked. A neurological inhibitor will be key to my remote command. If you deviate from the objective, if you indulge your theatrical proclivities, your performance will be brought to a swift and permanent conclusion. Spacey's smile widened. It was the smile of a predator who has been given the keys to the zoo. Spacey. But of course, Peter, the best performances are always the most disciplined. I will be your humble servant, a simple usher leading the prodigy to his new stage. You won't be disappointed. Thiel, I am never disappointed. I am only presented with data that confirms or refutes a hypothesis. Your method is now a hypothesis. Do not fail to prove it. The screen went black. Thiel said in the silence. Analyst, Sir Kevin Spacey? Is the risk not considerable? Thiel, staring at the blank wall, the greatest exploits are found in the flaws of the user, not the system. He thinks he is the director. But he's merely the first line of code in a much more complex program. Log his mission and prepare a contingency. One that involves a very quiet, very deep body of water. Assistant, sir. Before we wrap up for the day, you really must resume your call with Diddy. He's been waiting for hours regarding the resolution of your baby oil invoice from last year. A low, pulsing bass line began to bleed into the sterile hum of the facility. The analyst's head tilted, her own neural link translating the unwanted data packet into an auditory annoyance. Analyst, sir. The persistent comes request. I can no longer reroute it through standard sublevel accounting protocols. He's employed a brute force. Social hack. He's telling my automated assistant that it's bad boy for life. It seems to be working. Dill's jaw tightened. This was a different kind of contamination. Not the theatrical malice of Spacey or the amateur eugenics of Singer, but something far worse. Noisy, metabolic, hedonistic static. Peter Thiel on screen. Audio only. And analyst. Filter out any background percussion. I will not have my focus disrupted by kick drum. The basalt wall shimmered, but remained black, projecting only audio. The voice that boomed into the chamber was slathered in reverb, echoing as if from the center of a crowded, pulsating room. Diddy. Yo, P. Thiel. My man. The ghost in the machine. The king of the algorithm. Took you long enough, playboy. I've been holding on your line so long I made 2 new beats and signed a kid from Queens. Let's go. Thiel, you have my attention. The purpose of this call is an outstanding invoice. Cracked? Diddy? An invoice? My man, this ain't about an invoice. This is about respect. This is about the energy flow. We did the deal. A meeting of minds. East Coast hustle, West Coast tech. We vibed. I sent my guy over with the paperwork for the oil, the good stuff, hypoallergenic, vitamin E, the kind that gives off the right championship glisten under the lights. A key supply, and now my money people are telling me the invoice is unsynergized. It's throwing off the whole frequency of my Q4 operations. Thiel, your frequency is of no concern to me. The transaction was a one-time logistics test for a shell company's supply chain durability. The oil was merely a viscous, high-volume placeholder. A successful test. Diddy, placeholder? Pete, listen to me, and listen good. You don't understand. This ain't just oil. It's a component, an essential part of the art. When we throw the white party in Ibiza next summer, and all the future kings and queens are glowing on the dance floor, moving as one, that's not just a party, man. That's a living installation. That's a human algorithm of pure joy. That's what you and I were building. You with your data, me with the soul. Now, are you gonna handle this invoice, or do I gotta question our whole metaphysical partnership? There was a profound silence. He looked at his analyst. Her face was blank, but he could almost sense the circuits in her brain struggling to parse human algorithm of pure joy into a meaningful data point. Peter Thiel, analyst. Analyst, sir. Thiel. Liquid HL Corporation LLC 734. Wire the full outstanding amount to the designated account from a tertiary fund. Use the memo line for viscous placeholders. Then enact Protocol Chimera. Erase any digital or financial link between our networks. Implement a total communications ban. All platforms, all proxies. His existence relative to ours is to become a null set. Analyst. Understood, sir. Full network severance. Thiel. His voice dropping to a near whisper. A tone of genuine intellectual offense. Baby oil. All the processing power wasted. It's like using a particle accelerator to toast bread. Terminate the call. and schedule me for a deep systems purge. I feel sticky. Voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything.
Donald says the strangest thing, crimson glass, that's the crystal ring. And the neighbor doesn't age, have you noticed that? It just acquires a nicer welcome mat. And Jeffrey smiles a secret that he keeps down where the ledger and the conscience sleeps. A pal's a pal, another year is done. You got the whole wide world, you're number one. Across the globe in a colder room, they're sweeping ghosts up with a carbon broom. Where Peter Thiel is solving for the blood, a design flaw from the primal mud. He sees the chatter from the party line, a cheap narcotic on a fast decline. He'll outlive all the players and their stakes, but can't escape the hum the server makes. And the voice on the TV's fading away, saying there must be more to life at the end of the day. There must be more to life than having everything. It's the question that you stop asking after you pull every string. A velvet jacket in a private school finds a new prodigy to break the rules. Says, son, your damage is a special gift, will set your beautiful psychosis adrift. And in the shadows waiting for his cue, another actor knows just what to do. He'll be the mentor, teacher, and the guide to lead the lamb into the formaldehyde. And the voice on the TV's fading away, saying there must be more to life at the end of the day. There must be more to life than having everything. It's the question that you stop asking after you pull every string. After you pull every string. The human algorithm listens on the coast as Diddy's raising up a toast to the frequency, the vibe, the bad boy's soul, a feeling that you can't control. Then an invoice comes on Tuesday afternoon, underneath a pale and sterile moon. It says for services now reconciled, and one-time use of viscous placeholder style. Having everything, and the long distance static it brings.